Hello, my name is Kyle Rumps. I am a current MBA candidate at the University of Denver, and I am here at South by Southwest reporting on some of the lovely panels and sessions I was able to sit through. Today's was a new era of Collabs, scaling corporate startup partnerships. This is hosted by Laura Plunkett, the Executive Director of Startup Engagement and Lift Labs at Comcast NBC Universal, with her guests Tim Brownstone, the CEO of Chimera, Andre Papnasia, the CEO of NLX, and Jose Puga, the CEO of Imaginario AI. In this conversation, I was approaching it hoping to hear kind of both sides, both the VC aspect and internal startup engagement from Laura Plunkett, as well as from the CEOs of these startups and why they chose to join alongside Comcast, NBC, Universal, as well as the various synergies that they brought to the table. Unfortunately, I felt that this discussion was far more of a sales pitch to investors, trying to convince them that these three startups were worth investing in. I unfortunately did not hear anything from Laura Plunkett. She simply facilitated questions to these startup CEOs. So I tried my best to distill any information or insight that they may give, but I did not feel that this was the highlight of the session. However, with that being stated, they did give some slight insights into why these startups particularly chose an accelerator partnership rather than reaching out to VCs or other firms for funding. And it mainly came down to 5 different benefits that was provided to them. This was distribution of their product, as Comcast NBC Universal already has very strong supply chains and partnerships with their distribution channels. Further access to capital by being partnered with a gigantic corporation with a huge brand name. Not only do they get access to this capital, but they have security and lower risk in the fact that this likely will not be liquidated or be eaten up by bad debt or any other possible issue you may face with external funding from, say, a venture capital fund. The next was their access to different business units, which was one of the main things highlighted by these startups. By being able to use and utilize these different business units, they're able to gain further insight into the application of their products, as well as leverage these business units to make deals with partners that they may have or partners that may be interested in working with those specific BUs. It also helps these startups with further acquisition, as they do have a robust support system for the startups. They can reach out with a trusted brand name, and they just generally facilitate these acquisitions. And finally, just getting further investment. One of the main things that they pointed to was by going to other outside investors and being able to say that they were part of Comcast NBC Universal's accelerator, that trusted brand name and reputation made it easier for them to get access to outside investment apart from simply the accelerator. So those were the main reasons why they started with the partnership. Outside of that, some further insights was that 2 of these startups being heavily AI startups, they mentioned the fact that content will always trope a good AI model. And the example that they gave was, even if you have a model that is 100% accurate all of the time and always gets the data correct, if the presentation of said data and the content created by the LLM isn't able to be interfaced with easily by consumers, then the model just simply isn't strong. In their opinion, people would rather have a model that isn't perfectly accurate, but they can interface with and understand easily, than having something that is perfect, but they don't feel a connection with. In conclusion, I felt like this panel was lacking in many aspects, and I would have loved to have stayed longer to get up and ask some questions. But unfortunately, I did have to run to get to one other speaker that I was very, very excited to hear from, which I will have another video just after this. So thank you, and hopefully you got a little bit of insight into a new era of collabs scaling corporate startup partnerships.